today's show we are going to be talking about, a few weeks ago, we did a show with Guluk on Arctic sports and his career. Today we are going to be talking to Matthew and Cassandra about their career as performers, athletes in the sport of Arctic sports. So I'd like to talk to you, Matthew, first. Yeah, you're from Tunnganarniq? Yeah, and what time or how long ago did you start in Arctic sports?
I started when I was 9 years old.
9 years?
27 years ago.
27 years ago? Who helped you start doing Arctic sports?
Mostly my friends and Edgar Kaptana.
Edgar Kaptana?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, in the sport, like, what is your favorite thing about?
Just seeing all my friends again and catching up on life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you like the connection that the sport brings?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else like you wanted to talk about? Like,
these games bring out so much friendship in that, and it's really good for you. And fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
It must be fun when it's a little bit challenging.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I always see, because I watch every chance I get, how supportive everyone is.
Yeah.
And with like giving tips on technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Help each other out and give each other some tips. Yeah. It's real competitive, but it's really friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cassandra? How old were you when you started?
11 years old.
11 years old? And who did you start doing the sports with? Do you remember? The school? At home? Yeah. Do you remember like your instructors on who taught you how to do the Arctic sports? Guluk? So was it when Guluk was going into the school? Yeah, so the school program that they had? Yeah. Were you naturally good at?
Not at first.
Not at first? No. You just really liked the sport, so you kept trying? Yeah. Yeah. And how are you, Guluk?
I'm doing okay. Glad to be doing this program again.
Yes.
I'd like to promote our games any way we can so that, we can pass it on to our youth. I remember Matthew and Cassandra here when they first got started. It was new to them to do the games. Of course, they were a bit shy and they were, hesitating on doing these games. But once they got into these games here and they learned how to do them, they got right into it, and the interest for sure got in with that for them. Their progress was like every time we practiced, they got better and better, and eventually competition came by. We had Northern Games. We had the Northern Games Summit at the school, and Arctic Winter Games. They were involved with that, with the Northern Games and the Arctic Winter Games, and they just continued going from there. And today they're doing the best they can to continue the games as much as they can. However, we don't really have much of it happening right now. A lot of that is because
The circumstances.
a lot of our elders or people that used to do the games are no longer with us, and they're not as much as involved with the games itself. However, we are trying to continue to keep it going, and I guess we slow down a bit, but once we start picking up, it's gonna get stronger again.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that these youth here are doing the games, still continuing the games. I know Maddie was a real good athlete. He was right up there with the records and things like that. Now that he's getting of age, trying to get him to continue by coaching and by instructing, and he's good at doing all that now. He learned a lot. He knows the games itself, all the games that we taught him. He knows about them, and I'm glad to see him continuing. And for the girls here, well, when we first got started, we didn't have the girls involved. We didn't have a woman involved in the Arctic sports itself. We only had the men. And that was carried on for a few years until the women started joining in. Well, they got into the games, Northern Games at the beginning, but they were doing traditional games like tea boiling, fish cutting, and those events that the women did. And they eventually got into our games, and we more than got them welcome into the sports itself, and it just grew from there. And today we do have girls, women into the competition, and hopefully that they can carry it on. One thing I noticed that with the junior girls, they like to do it. They like to continue doing the games. Once they learn how to do the games, they continue. However, it's a bit different when they get older. I don't know why, the difference between a woman and a man, but as women get older, it just sort of fade away from them. Just the games itself and doing the games. However, there are some of the ladies here that are still in the games, that's instructing, that's trying to promote the games for the girls, and we help them out in any way. But it's good that they have joined us. Once you put on a show, they go all out and they try the best they can, and sometimes they're surprising. They're really into the games, and we like to see that happening all the time.
Yeah. So, in all of your careers, because you're all at different stages, I'm assuming that there's been a lot of opportunity between all of it. Like travel, you said companionship, like making friends and being able to do stuff. Being on the show is another opportunity it's brought. Like, what are some things, maybe Matthew and then Cassandra and even Guluk can talk about? We've talked a little bit about what you've done, but what are some things that you really liked and highlighted for you?
Like travel and meet new people.
Yeah. Where are some places you've gone?
I went to the Olympics in 2010, Vancouver.
Yeah.
I demonstrated for the Royals when they came to Yellowknife. Yeah, there's a couple. Went to about 6 Arctic Winter Games.
And those were all over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alaska and Greenland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's brought it's opened a ton of doors for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Doing something that you naturally love.
Yeah.
And Cassandra, I see you're wearing a Team NWT shirt. Yeah. So you've traveled for doing Arctic sports too? Yeah.
Yes.
What are some things that you have done that it's brought for you, like the sport has opened up for you? Have you gotten to help with younger kids in Arctic sports, or have you inspired maybe younger kids? Yeah? And you've traveled? Where have you gone for?
Fort Smith and Chicago, and that's about it.
Yeah. So hopefully, when things are a bit more clear, you get to travel more. And would you be interested in doing that? Yeah, traveling and doing more with Arctic sports. Yeah. And Guluk, we've talked last time about your career, but what are some things that the sport has opened up for you? Like,
Well, the traveling for sure,
yeah.
and meeting people, and just showcasing our games.
Yeah.
Especially to people that never seen these games before. They come and wondering what we're doing, and we provide them with their information, and we demonstrate the games to them, and their interest is there. You know, how do you do it? Can I try? Things like that. With Northern Games and Arctic sports, there's a lot of young athletes that are into it now, just because of our showcase to them and the demos that we did for them. And the highlight for me is traveling. We did a lot of traveling pretty much right across Canada, showcasing our games.
Yeah.
And Arctic Winter Games, I've been to a few of those, and it's a lot of fun. It's something that we experience when we get right into the games itself.
There must be a lot of a level of like being very proud of where you're from and what you get to do, and then you get to share that with other people.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to find people that are interested in the games, and there are a lot of people that are interested in our games, and they try it, you know, and they figure it's easy. I mean, it looks easy once you see someone doing it, but then they try it, you know, it's something different. It's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, it's a skill you have to either be born with or attain.
Yeah,
to.
well, most of it is from practicing.
Yeah.
Practice. We do a lot of practice,
Mhm.
especially when we have the time. Not in competition, but just in practice itself. You know, we do a lot of learning. We do a lot of kicks. We do a lot of arm pulls. We do pretty much everything. A lot of, you know, just to get used to it, and it helps out the athletes.
Yeah.
It helps out for them to make it easier for the next athlete, and just providing that to the younger athletes, you know, it didn't encourage them to continue.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you, Matthew. There's a term I've heard before. It's called muscle memory.
Yeah.
If you've kicked for 27 years.
Yeah.
If you don't kick for a while and you do kick again, is it natural, like riding a bike?
Same as riding a bike.
Yeah.
But the muscles get sore.
So practicing does make a difference then.
Yeah.
It keeps you kind of loose.
Yeah.
To be able to do it consistently.
Fit,
yeah. I just had to ask because I'm assuming like when you take a break from anything and then you have to redo something, I don't know if it would come back as easy.
A couple of years ago, I never kicked for about 3 years. And I got back into it, and it's still okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to? Is there anything else that any of you wanted to share?
Not really.
No.
Maybe we're going to do 3 of the games here. We'll showcase 3 of our games. 2 of the kicks, the 1-foot high kick, the Alaskan high kick, and another game that we're going to provide you with is kneel jump.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our 3 main events that we usually have in competition or in demos when we do the game. So it's a 1-foot Alaskan and the kneel jump. The Alaskan high kick it was introduced to us when we started Northern Games way back in the 80s when we had the Northern Games and we invited the Alaskans to come over here and they showed us this game here. And right away we got that included in competition and everybody liked that. I don't know where the name came from, but Alaskan high kick, that's what we called it right from the beginning.
Do you remember what year it was? Like
It
around?
was in 1986.
In the 80s then?
No, 1988.
1988.
Yeah, that's when Northern Games first started, and we got together with people right across Canada in Circumpolar Conference. People from the north came to Nunavut here, and we did a lot of games then. You know, it was all pretty much new to us.
Yeah.
Because we never had competition prior to that. Once we got started, you know, it was something new to us, and we just got right into it. You know, it is something new that we might have seen happening throughout our younger years, but it wasn't like it was in competition. It's just a showcase thing that people like to do for pastime. Yeah.
So you were saying that you have been an instructor for how many years, did you say?
Oh, geez.
20-something, 30 years?
I can't remember. It's about 20 years or so.
Yeah.
And, I was a coach prior to that. And I wasn't really suited to be a coach myself. You know, it's something hard to do.
Yeah.
Just getting out of the games, out of competition, and right into coaching. You know, it's something that I wasn't really comfortable with because once they got started competing, I just wanted to get in there and do it again with them. But it's something that we like to progress after we're done with competition. We get into coaching and then instructor. I've been instructing the games now for numerous years at the schools and wherever it's provided, you know, wherever it's needed. And it brought me a long ways. I've learned a lot from these young people.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things that I picked up from them that I haven't tried before, I haven't seen before, but their encouragement was there and it just kept me going.
So I wanted to ask you, whenever I watch any type of demonstration or competition, usually mostly demonstration, I always see whoever's the coach or the instructor, they always talk about the history behind some of the sports. Do you, was there someone that taught you what the history was?
Yeah, well, we talked about that a lot when we were competing. Our coach at that time knew a lot. He knew everything about the history behind the games and how they came about. And he provided that information to us. And it was something that we took into because it tied in with the games.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a strong connection between the survival aspect when it transferred or transitioned into the sport aspect of it.
Yeah, he used to tell us the stories of why these games come about and why it was necessary for athletes to be good at the games. And all behind it was because of how you provide your livelihood with these games. Because I remember one story he told that, you know, if you're caught in an iceberg and you're between an iceberg and the water and another iceberg, how can you get across to there? How can you make it safely to the other side, to the other iceberg where it's safe? And you know, it's a bit tricky, but you know, there's a way you can do it, providing that your body is in good shape and you're able to do these things. And you know, there's a lot of stories. For instance, the blanket toss. I know he was telling us about one story that why they did the blanket toss out by the ocean side. And the person that was doing it was jumping up in the air. He was looking for whales. And when he's up in the air, he'd be looking for whales. You know, stories like that they come up with, and they sound like, you know, it was used for those purposes.
Yeah.
And it provides us with a lot of good instructions on how to do the games itself. Each game has a different story, and you know, how to survive and how to do these games when you're surviving through the winter or through a hardship. You know, these games come in handy, providing you're in good shape.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Matthew, since Guluk had said that he's hoping that one day you will take over in leading and coaching and instructing for the kids. Is that something that you pay close attention to? Is the history behind?
I pretty much know all the history behind the games.
Yeah.
We had to learn them. Yeah.
So one day you'll be holding the mic and talking about why we do these
Learn
things.
lots from Guluk.
Yeah. Which I think is really important that it passes down to each generation. So that way it's one thing that we don't lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably one of my favorite things
Yeah.
is listening.
I know about Guluk and them lots too, at the Northern Game Summit. Official with them and travel with them.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, a lot of our young people here, they go aside from competition, and their interest is there, and they help us out a lot. In that way, you know, like you said, you know, he learned how to do a few things working with us.
Yeah. Do we want to get started then?
Okay.
On the demonstration portion?
Okay, the first one we're going to do is a 1 foot high kick. I know my athletes here are not really warmed up to do the games itself, but
Do we want to do a warm-up? Is there a warm-up, specific warm-up that people can do?
just basically
stretch.
stretching out.
Just get the blood moving?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure where to stand.
Can stand if you look there.
Okay.
So, this
The 1
sorry,
No, go ahead.
we're going to go ahead and do the 1 foot high kick. What's your record? Like
My
what?
record's about 9 feet.
9 feet? Yeah.
This one I counted.
Do you still do competitive kicking or mostly
I
demonstration?
mostly do demonstrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure being tall helps.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one of our main events here. Where is it? The 1 foot high kick is usually a favorite for all our athletes. And in order to do a successful kick, you have to come through with your stance, your getting ready, your preparation, your jump, your kick. As you can see, you kicked it with 1 foot and landed on the same foot that you kicked with. And maintain your balance. That's the end product of this game here is maintaining your balance.
Yeah.
Because once you get through with that, you know, it's a good kick. I know Maddie can go as high as the ceiling here.
What?
Yeah, you can go up as high as the ceiling. But,
How high is that?
it's about
About 10
almost
feet.
9 feet.
So almost as high as the ceiling.
We do have basically the same rules with the girls as the men.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing changed in that area. Everything's basically the same way that they do it for each category, and it's nothing easier for either the men or the women. It's all the same way, the same motion, and they can kick as high as they can.
Mm-hmm. So you have to land on the one foot you kick with.
Yeah.
Got to jump with 2 feet.
Jump with 2.
Jump with 2.
Kick with 1 and then land on the same one.
Mm-hmm.
Kick
And maintain your balance. And, in order to succeed, a good kick is you maintain your balance. What you do is just hop on the floor to finish off the kick.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. I think.
Oh.
In competition, we do have 3 tries for each athlete.
Mm-hmm.
You get 3 chances to kick the seal ball. And, however, in practice, we kick the seal ball as many times as we can until we're comfortable with how we do it.
So like in a setting like this, you kick as many times as you want, but in competition it's 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's in competition. It's a bit different. It's unlike when you're practicing. The emotions are there. You're being you don't want to miss a kick, so it's a bit different in competition.
Is it easier? I see shoes or unshoes. I'm assuming it's preference based on the
Whatever
person.
you want more comfortable with.
More comfortable with?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that it's easier when you go without shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even in competition it's
Even
easier?
in competition, yeah.
Yeah. It must feel more natural.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I noticed today hardly any people kick bare feet. They mostly use shoes now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that that's with the new generation?
Yeah, with the newer generation.
Oh! Sorry.
A little bit higher there.
So people like when you started, they typically go without shoes?
Yeah.
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 Have
Right,
you?
joint up higher.
Do you ever kick the tip of the bar? No?
I could, yeah.
I mean, do you ever accidentally?
No.
No?
Got so much control that
Yeah.
you just stop just before you hit it.
Yeah, once you get to learn these games here, you learn to kick the seal ball. You don't kick the bar or anything. It's basically the same. You just kick the seal ball. It comes natural to
There's
athletes.
some athletes that are so natural, they could go up and kick a light bulb, it won't even break.
I know when we were in practice back home, when we used to practice during the evenings, in order to practice for accuracy, we used to put the seal ball right in front of someone's nose, right in front of the nose here, and then the person would come and kick the seal ball without kicking his nose off. But that is basically to say, just for accuracy.
That's a lot of control
Yeah.
that you need, yeah.
The next event is Alaskan high kick. This one here, it's also in a competition. It's one of the events that we really enjoy doing in competition. A lot of the athletes like it, or most of the athletes like this event. The object of the game again is to kick the seal ball with 1 foot and come land on the same foot that you kick with, and maintaining your balance. Oh, okay. See, as you can see, he's holding his foot with one hand, and his other foot is flat on the floor. And once he's ready, he comes up on one foot, kicks.
Do you think that that's harder or easier than the 1 foot?
It's a bit harder. You gotta have lots of muscle strength to lift your body up.
When the Alaskan people came over and taught this game, did they talk about how it was incorporated, like we were talking about the history behind it?
Oh, no, nothing really was talked about in these events during the competition. Maybe when they're on the side there, they give it a history of the games itself and where it came from and things like that. But in competition, we just basically do the kicks itself without knowing too much of the history of it.
We didn't talk about it with the 1 foot high kick, but can you explain, is there a history behind how it got started with the 1 foot?
1 foot, it was just to keep warm, in long winter nights, it's cold out and you got to do some movements, and one of these was doing the kicks, and it just provides warmth and making sure that you don't get stiff and you don't freeze. But it's just a skill of doing the 1 foot. Gives you the basic skills of how to live a life out in Arctic in the cold winter nights.
So I'm going to ask then, because I kind of remember growing up, a lot of like people my dad's age, a lot of people were doing 1 foot high kick. Like a lot of people were able to do it. I wonder if, because I don't see that as often anymore, I wonder if that's just with things like technology where people have other stuff to do, because I do remember seeing older, like my dad's age and people that age, all being able to do this.
Well, at that time when the games came about, it was fairly new to all of us.
Oh, okay.
And the ones that used to do it, their interest was there, and they tried,
Yeah.
Some liked it, and it's something that.
Yeah. I only ask because I do remember a lot of people being able to do, it.
That was our favorite event here, the 1 foot high kick. Everybody liked that, and it just carried on. I don't have the records with me offhand. I know there's a few records that were broken throughout the past few years. Now that the athletes are getting taller and more healthier, they seem to go higher.
Yeah.
And during the time that we used to compete, we used to only go a certain height, and that was it. But it's something that you learn to do, especially when you practice these games. I know when the Alaskans came here, these games they showed to us, it's a little bit different. For instance, the 1 foot high kick, they do it a little bit different. They hop. They hop to the target and then they jump up and kick. And this is the way that they taught us the Alaskan high kick. Just the way she's done it. And it's nothing that's hard for us to do, because it's just like a one-time thing. You go up and you kick and you come back down. There's no tricks or anything like that to it. for this event here, it's going to carry on, especially in our competition. And like I said, basically because everybody likes the games. They like to do these games. And I remember when I competed, I enjoyed these events here, the kicks, you know, more than anything else. And it's the main events that we like to showcase in competition or in demos. Okay, you want to try again?
Do you find it's easier to do a 1-foot high kick or the Alaskan high kick?
Alaskan.
Alaskan's easier for you? Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the athletes, you know, individual athletes, you know, they like their favorite event, and some like the Alaskan, some like the 1-foot Alaskan and 2-foot.
So do you find as athletes, when people are quiet in competition, does it really make a difference? Like in
depends on the athlete.
for concentrating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they like the crowd to pump them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Alaskan high kick, it's gonna go a long ways, especially in competition. And in demonstrations for like this program that we do, we like to showcase this event as much as we can because it's one of our main events. Try again.
I totally like them straight.
Straight up, yeah.
It's really nice to soft and make this straight.
So what you just did, because I didn't see it, you caught the way her technique was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you helped her, because I didn't catch that at all. And that's helpful for you as an athlete when someone gives that type of advice, what they see. Yeah.
Yeah, it encourages them to try the way that another person sees it, you know. If they try a little bit differently, you know, maybe they might go higher. You know, stuff, little things like that. That's provided to them from the athletes.
Yeah.
Most of the time when a person's alone, you know, they concentrate on what they want to do, they can do it. But in practices and competition, you know, encouragement is always a good thing from other athletes, you know, it provides them, gets them going to go higher, and, you know, it just helps them out to do better.
Yeah, because from a spectator, someone just watching, never got involved in the sports, I just see people talking and encouraging, but I never knew, I guess because I never paid that much attention, but you guys really do help each other and encourage each other and give each other advice.
Yeah, it helps them out, you know, it really gives them a boost to do a lot better, and you know, they take the advice from other athletes, you know. It helps them out in many ways to do better than their last kicks. And this one here, it's going to be a lot of times you're going to see this event here in the competition because it's one of our main events. The other event that we're going to do away with this high kick stand now. It's one of the games that we do in competition. It's called kneel jump, kneel and jump.
Kneel and jump?
Yeah.
Okay.
An athlete goes down on his knees. There's a supposed line here that's provided when they're competing or practicing.
Gotta go behind the line.
His knees got to be behind the line. And how his stance is sitting down, his rear end right down to his feet, flat, everything down on the floor, as close to the floor as possible. And he gets himself ready, swinging. And the swinging does a lot of help to go further. You know, when you're doing a swing, it helps you to jump further. A lot of times, athletes, we ask them to take their socks off, just
Get more grip.
yeah, just to get more grip, and it's a lot safer. Whereas if you use socks, you know, and you jump and you're gonna slip, you know, because it's slippery. So they either use runners or go bare feet. The line is there, and she's getting herself ready, swinging her arms. It gives them a momentum to go as far as they can. And again, we do as many times as we want in practice. In competition, we want to have 3 times, 3 tries. And we take the best of the 3 and record the furthest.
And what's the history behind why we do the kneel and jump? Like, why is there a reason why we started doing the kneel and jump? Like, with connection to the history?
Well, it's just a game that was brought up. You know, when a person's alone out in the tundra or out in the ice, you know, they got to be focused on their
You're out
body.
fishing or you're skinning a caribou or something. That'll be fast and agile. Pick it up in case.
Yeah.
In case there's a bear.
You got to be fast. You got to make sure if you're in that position and there's something that's coming towards you, you got to be fast to get up and go.
Yeah.
You know, good stories like that come up with. And once again, we do have categories for the men. We have the seniors and the juniors. Same with the girls. We have the juniors and the seniors. We categorize them in competition. Unlike when we first started Northern Games, we had no age limit. I know CK and I were the youngest in our team. We joined the men that were 10, 20 years older than us. And it was a team. But now we have them categorized in age groups, which makes it a lot more fun, a lot more easier for the athletes.
Yeah.
Good. The object of this event here is to go as far as you can. I'm going to show you what in competition where it's not allowed, where it's not called a jump, a complete jump. If a person jumps and then he falls back, or his feet goes back, it's counted as a try, but a miss. It's not a count because he fell backwards or his feet went back. To show you one way, wrong way. Yeah, see where it's not counted. Okay, and then you bring your feet back after you jump, just step back. This one too is unaccounted for in competition, where the athlete jumps and he lands and it's not completed. has his foot moved back,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not counted as a try. And again, 3 tries for each athlete.
Yeah.
Do you have the record for this, Maddie?
I think it's over 5 feet, 5 something, 5'2".
5'2"?
I'm 5'4". That's a long jump.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And in order to go the distance, a good way is to jump as high as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The higher you go, the further you go. Whereas if you just jump from a low area, you're going to land not far enough, but just getting the height to go up in the air and then come down.
Mm-hmm.
It goes a little bit further than you usually do in an ordinary jump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you can see, maybe you come back here, just step over here, Cassandra. And suppose you landed there. Okay. Okay, if you can see where she landed, we measure to the one that's closest to the line. The heel of the feet is closest to the line. That's not counted, just the heel that's closest. That's where we measure. That's the distance that they went. So it's really important that the judges see that.
Yeah.
Little things that they see, they make sure that it's done right.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, good athletes they do a good job.
Do you find that being on the floor like that is hard on your, on the legs? So this is like a more challenging.
A little bit, yeah.
See where he landed? This one's closer to the line than the other foot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty much in that limit where his feet is not too far apart.
Oh.
It's about the
If
shoulder.
you land way like that, they won't count it.
No,
It's got to be shoulder
about
length.
shoulder length to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And we measure from the line to where the heel is closer to the line.
And this is all things you talk about during practicing too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we practice that, make sure that it's done right, make sure that they know that, if their feet are too far apart, that they know it's not a good jump. Whereas if, you do it properly, they know that it's a good jump and, they can carry on.
Yeah.
Try and go further.
Yeah.
And most of these athletes are in practices when they get together. There's lots of encouragement between athletes. It's like now that every sporting events,
Yeah.
they encourage themselves to try harder, or you did something wrong that you should try differently. It might help, and it does help out each athlete, just to get some information from other athletes.
Yeah. How was that? A lot of work. I can imagine, I can imagine that that's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does take some technique on how to do it, Once again, that brings style back. You got your own style of doing it, and it does help you go further or go higher. Depends on each athlete, how it's a bit different from each athlete and how to approach and to jump and to make sure that they're doing it the right way. It does a lot of good for them, especially when they get a certain way of doing it. You know,
Yeah.
they got their own certain ways of jumping and getting themselves prepared to do it. You know, it does help them to. It's a comforting feeling that they have to have within themselves, so that they can focus on how far they want to go, how far they're going to go. Just things like that really help them out a lot. I know for each athlete, some of the athletes, they take a bit of time, and it helps them out in their mind to take the time to do it, which is okay. However, it's a bit different in Arctic Winter Games where you have timing, and that's nothing ideal for us to go by time. It's not in our culture.
Yeah.
But we have to go by the rules in order to succeed.
Yeah.
These events that we do, we showcase for anything that comes up. We like our athletes to be as on top shape. Like any other sporting events, you got to be in top shape to do these games, and of course practice. We've got to do a lot of practicing in order to be good at these games, and it just continues on. It's within them that they can do the games itself and make sure that they're doing it the right way, and they want to go the distance, they want to go to the height if they want to,
Yeah.
And it's little things like that that develops in their minds, and therefore they get better at them.
Yeah. We got a few more minutes left. So, I'm just going to ask, just because I understand that Arctic Games or Northern Games can be all levels. Like what we saw was the high kick, the Alaskan, or the 1 foot high kick, the Alaskan foot high kick, and the long jump.
Kneel jump.
Kneel and jump.
Kneel and jump.
Yeah. So, and there's so many more that can be done, like we were talking about last time with the stick and the push. I wouldn't assume maybe on the sides it's done, but there's a lot of social ones too, like...
Yeah, we do have some games that...
Laughing games.
Yeah.
Social games, like the ones that I was showing you last time, the string and the twirl.
Yeah.
And Pudu. Those games we don't have them in competition, but we like to do them on the side when there's nothing really much happening within a group. We do these games just for the fun of it, and to show, to show the youth that these games are here. That they're something that we used to do a long time ago, and we like to showcase it to the younger people. And hopefully in the next few years, the games that we showed them will eventually get into competition or somewhat of that in that area. Yeah.
Do you remember when you were going to practices and stuff, did you guys do some of the laughing games too?
Mostly done like warm-up games, skipping and that.
Not a whole lot of laughing.
No.
Maybe that's something that only the girls would do more often. I'm just assuming.
When we do workshops, we get our group together and we call it an icebreaker, where we get the athletes, they don't know each other. And in order for them to get comfortable, we get them together and we do the bird call, what they call that game?
Animal muck.
Animal muck. We get that going with them, just to reassure that, they feel comfortable with each other and they get to know each other. And, just to get into their comfort zone.
And after that, after they play that, they just like they knew each other for years.
Oh, yeah. They get to know each other really good. And, you know, it's an icebreaker that we like to do. There's some other games that we do in that area where we want the athletes to be comfortable with each other prior to any demos or competition. You know, it's a thing that we want to continue doing, just so that you know they don't feel left out and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
get them together and just go all out in what they want to do.
So, to wrap up at the end, I already spoke to you about what would you like to see in your career, like with Arctic sports, like what you'd like to see. If you want to just talk about that again, like for the future, for like what you would like to pass on.
Yeah, I'd like to see it continued, you know, carried on, pass it on, you know. It's a strong game, it's a strong event now. And now that people know it, it's out there. And we just want to continue to keep carrying it on to our youth, to make sure that the next generation knows how to coach, knows how to instruct, and just to be with the youth, you know, provide the youth with encouragement and knowledge to know how to do the games. Yeah.
And what about you, Matthew? What's some goals that you would like to see?
I'd like to follow Guluk's footsteps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take over instructing.
Yeah.
They should really consider doing that in the schools and the smaller communities.
I work in a school in Cock sometimes. They come get me to work there.
Yeah.
Teach the kids. Yeah.
And you really like and you
Yeah.
enjoy doing that kind of stuff
Yeah.
too? Yeah. And what about you, Cassandra? Are there any goals that you would like to see? I know you're very early in your career. Maybe just to enjoy doing more get-togethers and traveling and doing events and stuff. Yeah, hopefully soon we can all, or you guys can continue doing that kind of stuff again. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with Cassandra before when she was a lot younger. You know, she did the games. She liked to do the games herself, and it's something that I know she wants to continue, and she will continue in doing the games itself. She was always there. You know, whenever an event comes up, she's always there with us to enjoy the games and just to showcase it through the younger kids.
Okay, so thank you all for tuning in to the Tunnganarniq show and joining this episode with Cassandra, Guluk, and Matthew.